What's up everyone, it's Marco Hanna from PhoneDog.com and welcome back to the LG G3 Challenge. Today is going to be day 7 of a G3 Challenge, and today we're going to be talking about the design and the hardware of LG's latest flagship. This is probably the best LG smartphone I've used. It's probably one of the best Android flagships I've used, but let's get into the hardware and design of LG's G3. Now before we dive in, make sure to leave a comment on what you would like to see in the series of a 30-day challenge, and also make sure to subscribe so you can be notified when this video is uploaded. But let's dive in. So if any of you have watched my full review of the LG G3 or all the other videos I made about the LG G3, you know I'm a huge fan of this phone. This includes the design of the G3 because it's simply much better than its predecessor. As a quick rundown, the materials are much better and feel better, the buttons are much better to use and they feel solid, and the construction of this phone, when it comes down to a plastic device, is just top notch, and the whole aesthetic look of the LG G3 is much better than the G2 in my opinion. I honestly think the biggest improvement of the LG G3 is going to be in the ergonomics department. The G2's back buttons were mushy, they were awful, they looked terrible, and they felt terrible. But the G3 on the other hand looks great, and more importantly, they feel fantastic. They're nice and clicky, they're really responsive and directive in terms of pushing the buttons, and they just feel fantastic. And after the first hour of using the G3 last month, the back buttons became a universal language for me. I even tried using it on my HTC One M8 the next day, but I only ended up with nice finger smudges on the camera instead. The next design feature I want to talk about is going to be the metallic semi-matte finish backing. For starters, it feels premium while it's actually the same cheapo plastic we used on the G2. I actually like the semi-matte finish of this phone. It adds some texture. It's definitely a great in terms of having grip on the phone, but it's not nearly as grippy as something like the old HTC One M7 or the iPhone. Now the last design feature I want to bring up is going to be something viewed as a whole. It's the whole packaging of this device, which is a huge feat. For example, let's bring in the LG G3 and the HTC One M8. Here you can see the backs of these devices. So at first glance, you would think they would be exactly the same size, which means their displays would be pretty similar in size as well. But when we flip these guys around, you see a massive bezel on the HTC One M8. Now yes, I know it's for boom sound, but I have to hand it to LG for eliminating the bezels on the G3 down to an absolute minimum. Now on to the semi-boring information that some of you love, the hardware and the specs. Now we won't include the display in this round, but don't you worry, we'll have that in a video really soon, but here's a good time to subscribe so you don't miss it. Hardware and specs are a major factor when it comes to a phone to purchase. The term future-proof and most powerful may make the biggest impressions on people, but the truth of the matter is, phones can never be future-proof. Next year there's going to be an LG G4 with more of this and more of that and blah blah blah. But before I get carried out with my rant here, let me clearly state that the LG G3 is one of the most powerful Android devices. Let me rephrase that actually, one of the most powerful devices on the market, period. Its specs match and sometimes even beat the competition. Processor wise, we have the quad-core Snapdragon 801 chip clocked in at 2.5 GHz, same as the S5, same as the OnePlus One, same as the Oppo Find 7. And if you get the 64GB model of the LG G3, you'll find 3GB of RAM, which is 1GB more than the Samsung Galaxy S5. And if you care about gaming, you will be happy to know that the Adreno 330 GPU is also inside the G3. And for the battery, you'll find a healthy 3000 mAh battery inside with an average on-screen time of over 5.5 hours. So I hope you enjoyed this day 7 of the LG G3 challenge. Again, make sure to leave a comment below what you would like to see in the future, and also you could always send them to me on Twitter to @PhoneDog_Marco. And as always, my name is Marco Hanna from PhoneDog.com, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.